Hi there, everybody. Josh Hoover from BTR back with you today with my teammates and friends, Karina Nation, Hayes Stevens, and Kelly Lemieux. And we wanted to talk to you. Yesterday, we talked about different work from home strategies, communication, webcams, and stuff like that. Today, we wanted to talk to you about some productivity strategies. So, Karina, why don't you start us off? What are some of your best practices, tips, and tricks about how to be productive when you work remotely?
Calendar management. When I started here about 2 years ago on the dot, actually, I had never used a calendar to actually plot out my work time. And as a team, since we're all remote, we don't have the liberty or the luxury of seeing that somebody's in a meeting because their door is closed or they had to get up really quick and they were getting some food or some lunch or something like that. So the biggest thing that I live by is my calendar, because that's the only way for people to know what I'm doing, what I'm working on, and it just lets me plot out my day and not have this scrambled to-do list of things I know have to get done, but I don't feel like I have enough time to do them. So really designating a time in the morning, for me at least, this is what works, is a time in the morning where I plot out everything and review and send follow-ups and confirm my schedule for the day. That's really helpful, even sometimes on Sunday night if you're feeling up for it, just plotting out the entire week. But calendar management is huge, especially if you're not used to plotting out your work time on a calendar. It's really important to give you that routine and that structure so you're not running around like crazy, not knowing where to go or what to do.
Yeah, I agree. I think, also, with our team, we're so transparent with our calendars that we all have visibility to everybody's calendars so that we can account for when someone is in a meeting and we're trying to schedule something else. We can allow that time for a little bit of break to regroup, because jumping from meeting to meeting to meeting, a lot of times you don't have that 15, 10 minutes to, you need to kind of like catch up for your next meeting and be prepared.
Mm-hmm. And that also leaves time for action items. It's great to collaborate and work together and get an opportunity to work with your clients in this type of environment. But a lot of times these phone calls result in action items, and you need to reserve time to actually get that done. If you're just jumping call to call to call all day, you're going to be stuck working in your personal time in order to get caught up, and it doesn't feel good.
Yeah, and I remember I've been here almost 5 years, and I think on my first day, I got a list of BTR protocols when it comes to calendar management. Everything's color-coded. We try to schedule meetings for 45 minutes instead of an hour, so you have that 15 minutes to regroup afterwards. So, yeah, and Kelly and I've talked about this a couple of times, is I didn't want to do this. I'm like, that doesn't work for me, but probably 5 minutes later, I know within the first couple of days, I started getting double booked for things, and you have to manage your calendar when trying to be productive working remotely. So what are some other productivity tips that you have from your experience working remotely?
Well, I've been doing this for quite some time, so I've found my own stride. But in the beginning, I really had to start off with the proper mindset. Working from home has a lot of distractions. In the beginning, I thought, oh, wouldn't this be great? I'll get to start on dinner early, or maybe I can knock out a couple of loads of laundry. And that is nice, but they can be a distraction, and it can interfere with your workday. So one of the things that I did in the beginning was I actually got up, I got dressed, as if I was going into an office, just to set my frame of mind in order to, really help me get into the right mindset. And then when it comes to being productive, I'm the type of person, I need background noise. I typically listen to music in order to stay productive. That's just a personal thing that works for me.
I can't do it. I want you so bad. I can't.
I think that's one of the benefits that are working from home too, is we individually can decide that.
Exactly. That autonomy is priceless.
Well, one thing I do want to say, and it was kind of funny that it just happened, was Kelly, your camera froze while you were talking. And so when that happens, one of the things that we've learned over several hundred, if not a few thousand GoToMeeting or Zoom calls or whatever, is if you call in rather than use your computer, if she had been using her computer, her voice probably would have froze too. And so if you call in using your phone, it's a separate communication portal, I guess. So she was able to still talk, and we're still able to hear. Yep, there we go.
Yeah. Computer audio is a huge fail when you're on a meeting with multiple people. The mute button doesn't work quite as quickly as you would like it to.
Oh, that reverberation that we've all heard.
Yeah.
You know, the crazy.
Yeah.
Yep. When somebody's using their computer and their phone, definitely a challenge. So,
Rookie mistake.
Yeah. So, Hayes, what about you? So Kelly said that when she first started working remotely, she would get up and get dressed. As you can tell from me, I'm pretty casual. I put on a hat, and that's usually how I go about, dressing up for my day, I guess. Hayes, what about you? What works for you?
For me, I mean, typically I treat it like as if I was going into an office. I get up, I start my day, grab a cup of coffee. It's like no different. I tend to start my day a little earlier. That's when I'm more present and the juices are flowing from a creative standpoint. And I typically can get a lot of work done prior to the start of the day. It just allows me to, I feel a little more focused and driven first thing in the morning. So I treat, having that routine of getting up, taking my shower, getting dressed, having my coffee, walking into my office or my designated space. If not everybody has an office in their home, but having that designated space that you can kind of sit down, this is where I'm at, I can be present, and start my day. That's what works for me. I also like a little bit of background music on, so I can turn that on and it's not bothering anybody. Obviously, dialing into a call, I will turn that off, but routine is good in my book.
So just out of curiosity, what were you listening to before this call?
YouTube, 5 hours of focus and study time music. It's seamless.
I love it.
I would go to sleep.
It just provides a little bit of something.
So Kelly, one of the things you and I talked about yesterday is you owning your time and treating your time like a very precious commodity. Explain a little bit more about that.
Yeah, it actually dovetails with the calendar management. Me personally, I like to be pretty stingy with my time. I really want to be available. I manage a team of about 14 people, so being available is really important to me. But I also like to reserve time to get things done. And also, again, back to those action items. I'm a procrastinator by nature, so I have to fight that quite a bit. And having that white space for productivity on my calendar is really important. It helps me fight that natural urge to procrastinate.
Me too.
I agree with that. I have to have that white space. I'm not one of those that can just fill my calendar throughout the day. Proper work time is designated. I color code things to prioritize. So that way I can glance at my calendar that morning and I know what's externally facing or what's, client facing versus internal team work time versus I have some time to kind of catch up on emails, work on project work that's due maybe week or 2 weeks out. It allows you that flexibility. I think overdoing your calendar can sometimes, if it works for you as an individual, but for me personally, it does not work.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat as all of you as well. I learned the hard way that I had to, I wouldn't call it white space because I had to schedule work time on my calendar.
Yeah.
Because if I didn't, somebody would schedule over it because we all share calendars and it's not an accountability thing. It's just so we have insight on when someone else is available and when we can schedule collaboration times and different team calls. So we're right up on our 10 minutes. So any final words, Karina? I'll give you the last word since you're there.
It's really whatever, like you said, Hayes, and what we've all been saying, like we all do it a little bit differently. And it just depends on what works for you. And quite honestly, it fluctuates. So it's probably going to continue to fluctuate for me and for everybody. It always changes, but at least knowing that you have a certain amount of time in the day and you need to take the most advantage of it as you can.
We hope this video was helpful to you and to your teams. Feel free to share it, but also let us know what you think. Are there any other different ideas, questions you have around working remotely that we may be able to offer insight on. So again, thanks for watching, and we'll talk to everybody soon.